Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by for NIO Incorporated's fourth quarter and full year 2021 earnings conference call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Today's conference call is being recorded. I'll now turn the call over to your host, Ms. Eve Tang from Capital Markets and Investor Relations. Please go ahead, Eve.
Good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome to NIO's fourth quarter and full year 2021 earnings conference call. The company's financial and operating results were published in the press release earlier today and are posted at the company's IR website. On today's call, we have Mr. William Li, Founder, Chairman of the Board, and the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Stephen Feng, Chief Financial Officer, and Mr. Stanley Qu, Senior VP of Finance. Before we continue, please be kindly reminded that today's discussion will contain forward-looking statements made under the Safe Harbor provisions of the U.S. Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. Forward-looking statements involve inherent risks and uncertainties. As such, the company's actual results may be materially different from the views expressed today. Further information regarding risks and uncertainties is included in certain filings of the company with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and the Stock Exchange of Hong Kong Limited. The company does not assume any obligation to update any forward-looking statements, except as required under applicable law. Please also note that NIO's earnings press release and this conference call include the discussions of unaudited GAAP financial information as well as unaudited non-GAAP financial information. Please refer to NIO's press release, which contains a reconciliation of the unaudited non-GAAP measures to comparable GAAP measures. With that, I will now turn the call over to our CEO, Mr. William Li. William, please go ahead.
大家好，非常感谢各位参加蔚来2021年第四季度以及全年业绩沟通会议。
Hello everyone, thank you for joining NIO's fourth quarter and full year 2021 earnings call.
2021年第四季度，蔚来总共交付了25034辆 ES8、ES6 和 EC6， 同比增长44%。
In the fourth quarter of 2021, we delivered 25,034 ES8, ES6, and EC6, representing an increase of 44% year-over-year.
对蔚来和全球汽车产业而言，2021年是充满挑战的一年。我们克服了疫情、芯片短缺、供应链波动等各方面的压力，全年交付新车91429台。同比增长 109.1%， 继续领跑中国高端智能电动汽车市场。
2021 was a year full of challenges for NIO and the global auto industry. By overcoming the pandemic, semiconductor shortages, supply chain volatilities, and many other difficulties, we have continued to lead the premium smart electric vehicle market in China with a total delivery of 91,429 new vehicles in 2021, representing a strong increase of 109.1%.
2022年1月，蔚来交付9652辆新车，同比增长 34%。受春节假期影响，2022年2月交付6131辆新车，同比增长 10%。同时，我们也利用假期对工厂产线进行调整，为3月底 ET7 的开启交付做好准备。
In January 2022, NIO delivered 9,652 vehicles, increasing by 34% year-over-year. In light of the Chinese New Year holiday, NIO delivered 6,131 vehicles in February 2022, representing a growth of 10% year-over-year. During the holiday, we adjusted the production lines to prepare for the delivery of ET7 in late March 2022.
尽管需求和用户订单势头强劲，生产和交付工作仍然受到疫情和供应链产能波动比较大的影响。我们预计2022年第一季度的总交付量为25000到26000辆。
Although the user demand and order momentum remain strong, the production and the delivery have been affected by the COVID and the volatility of the supply chain production capacity. We expect the total delivery in the first quarter of 2022 to be between 25,000 to 26,000 vehicles.
3月28日，蔚来第二代技术平台 NT2 的首款车型 ET7 将开启交付。3月初 ，ET7 全国试驾活动已经开启，参与试驾的用户对 ET7 给予了高度的认可，试驾订单转换率超过我们的预期，让我们对第二代平台的竞争力充满信心。
We will start the delivery of ET7, the first product on NT2, on March 28, 2022. In early March, we kicked off the test drive of ET7 nationwide. Users who test drove ET7 have spoken highly about the product. The test drive to order conversion rate exceeds our expectations, which gives us great confidence towards the competitiveness of NT2.
2021年中国纯电动汽车市场的增长速度超过市场预期。根据乘联会的数据，2021年纯电汽车的零售渗透率从1月份的 5.9% 增长至12月份的 18.6%。在上海等1、2线城市，纯电汽车的渗透率上升更为明显。2021年，在上海的35万人民币以上所有燃油和电动 SUV 中，蔚来的市场份额达到 23%， 总体销量排名第一。我们相信这样的趋势也会扩展到3、4线城市。
In 2021, the battery electric vehicle market maintained a faster than expected uptrend. According to China Passenger Car Association, the retail penetration rate of battery electric vehicles grew from 5.9% in January to 18.6% in December last year. In Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities in China, such as Shanghai, the penetration rate of battery electric vehicle witnessed a more prominent growth. In Shanghai, among the sales of all ICE and electric SUVs priced above RMB 350,000 RMB, NIO enjoyed a market share of 23% with its sales ranked at the top in 2021. We believe that this EV growth trend will also gradually expand to Tier 3 and Tier 4 cities in the future.
在毛利方面，受益于单车销售收入的提升以及75度3元铁锂电池包带来的成本优化，2021年4季度蔚来整车毛利率达到 20.9%。2021年全年蔚来整车毛利率达到 20.1%。目前行业普遍面临着成本上涨的压力，我们会密切关注供应链的变化，和合作伙伴一起提高效率，尽可能减少成本上涨对毛利率的影响。
In terms of a gross margin, benefited from the increase of revenue per vehicle and the cost optimization brought forward by the 75 kWh LFP NCM hybrid battery. The vehicle gross margin reached 20.9% in Q4 2021 and 20.1% for the full year of 2021 respectively. Currently, the whole industry is confronted with the pressure of a cost increase. We are paying close attention to the dynamics in the supply chain and working closely with our partners to enhance efficiency in order to reduce the impact to the vehicle gross margin.
2022年3月10日， 蔚来通过介绍上市的方式在香港交易所完成二次上市，正式开始挂牌交易，股票代码为9866。在香港上市，让我们有机会服务更多的投资者，是蔚来的又一重要里程碑。
On a separate note, NIO started to be listed by way of introduction on the Stock Exchange of Hong Kong under the stock code 9866 from March 10, 2022. The listing in Hong Kong marks another milestone in the history of NIO and enables us to serve more investors in the future.
接下来我跟大家交流一下研发和运营方面的一些重点工作。
Next, I would like to share some recent key highlights of our R&D and operations.
2021年，我们开始加大研发投入的力度，全年研发总投入 non-GAAP 超过41亿人民币。我们加快了新产品研发的速度，在全站自动驾驶及其核心技术领域开始加大投入。
In 2021, we started to step up our investment in R&D, with the overall non-GAAP R&D expenses exceeding 4.1 billion RMB in 2021. We have sped up the development of new products and increased our investments in full-stack autonomous driving and other core technologies.
研发投入对未来的长远竞争力至关重要。2022年，我们就能看到去年加大研发投入的部分成果。2022年，我们计划交付基于 NT2 的3款全新车型 ，ET7 是第一款，目前量产进展顺利，在自动驾驶算力等多个方面引领了行业的发展趋势。
Investment in R&D is of a critical importance for NIO's long-term competitiveness. Starting from this year, we will be able to see part of the fruitful results from last year's R&D investment and efforts. In 2022, we plan to deliver 3 new products based on NT2, with ET7 being the first. The mass production of ET7 is well on track. The product itself has led the industry in various aspects, including computing power for autonomous driving.
在2021年12月18日的 NIO Day 上，我们发布了中型智能电动轿跑 ET5。ET5 完美融合了蔚来超跑基因与为自动驾驶而设计的理念，搭载蔚来自动驾驶系统 NAD， 拥有应用了 AR、VR 技术的蔚来全景数字座舱 Panorama， 标配超过100项舒适、安全、智能化配置。ET5 受到了更多样化的用户群体的关注，订单表现超过我们的预期。ET5 预计在今年9月开启交付。
At the NIO Day on December 18, 2021, we unveiled ET5, a mid-size smart electric sedan. As a perfect combination of NIO's supercar DNA and the concept of design for AD, ET5 is equipped with NAD, NIO Autonomous Driving, and Panorama, panoramic digital cockpit enabled by AR and VR technologies. It comes as standard with 100 configurations for comfort, safety, and smart technologies. After its launch, ET5 has attracted a wider and more diversified user base and received more orders than our expectations. The delivery of ET5 is expected to start in September this year.
我们还将在近期发布基于 NT2 的首款 SUV 车型 ES7。这款新产品定位于中大型高端5座 SUV 市场，计划于今年的3季度开启交付。
Soon we will also launch ES7, our first SUV model on NT2, which is positioned as a mid-large premium 5-seater SUV and expected to start delivery from the third quarter of this year.
未来几年，我们会持续加大关键技术的研发投入，特别是全站自动驾驶技术、动力电池相关的关键领域。 我们相信，对核心技术的研发投入不仅能够增强我们技术和产品的持续竞争力，长期来看也能提升毛利水平和盈利能力，为股东创造长期价值。
In the coming years, we will continue to elevate our R&D investment and efforts in core technologies, especially in key capabilities such as the full-stack autonomous driving and battery technologies. We believe the investment in core technologies will not only enhance our sustainable competitiveness in both our technologies and products, but also improve our gross margin and profitability in the long run, and ultimately create long-term value for our shareholders.
产能方面，江淮未来先进制造基地的产线升级在阶段式的推进中，预计全产线的生产能力将于年中提升到60 JPH。
With regards to production capacity, the production line upgrade at the JAC New Advanced Manufacturing Center is in progress, phase by phase. By mid-year, the production cadence across all workshops will reach 60 jobs per hour.
位于合肥新桥智能电动汽车产业园区的生产厂房建设和设备安装已基本完成，调试工作进展顺利。第二生产基地规划生产能力为60 JPH， 计划于今年3季度正式投产，生产的首款车型为 ET5。 3月16日，首台 ET5 的试制车已于试制中心下线。
We have largely completed the building construction of our second manufacturing facility, F2, located in New Park. Finished the equipment installation and are now working on the calibration. F2 is planned to be put in operation in third quarter this year with a designed production cadence of 60 drops per hour. On March 16, the first validation build of ET5 rolled off the production line from the F2 vehicle pallet production center.
在供应链端，我们面临芯片供应波动、原材料成本攀升、疫情、国际局势等多重因素带来的挑战。在过去2年多的时间里，我们的团队和合作伙伴在保供上积累了丰富的经验。我们将继续密切配合，尽力保障接下来的生产和交付工作。
On the side of a supply chain, we are still faced with challenges from chip supply volatility, raw material cost increase, COVID, and the changing international situation. In the past 2 years and more, our teams and partners have accumulated rich experience in securing supplies for production. We will continue to work closely and try our best to safeguard the production and delivery going forward.
2021年是蔚来积极投入充换电基础设施建设和销售服务网络部署的一年。
2021 had been a year of decisive investment in charging and swapping infrastructure, as well as the sales and service network.
销售和服务网络方面，我们现有46个蔚来中心和341个蔚来空间，覆盖全球155个城市。我们在中国146个城市拥有60家蔚来服务中心和179家授权服务中心。
In terms of the sales and service network, we now have 46 new houses and 341 new spaces in 155 cities worldwide. In China, we have 60 new service centers and 179 authorized service centers in 146 cities.
在销售和服务网络快速扩张的同时，我们不断优化网络布局，提升单点运营效率，始终保持了高品质的用户服务水准。2022年，我们将继续在中国扩展销售服务网络，计划全年新增不少于100个销售网点，新增超过50家蔚来服务中心和授权服务中心。
As the sales and service network expands quickly, we have been continuously optimizing the network deployment and the operational efficiency of each touch point, while delivering high-quality services to users. In 2022, we plan to open more than 100 new sales outlets and over 50 new service centers and authorized service centers.
在充换电网络方面，我们已经建成866座换电站，覆盖中国190个城市，完成了超过760万次换电。同时，我们已在全国累计部署超过711座超充站和3786根目的地充电桩。
In terms of the charging and swapping network, we have deployed 866 battery swap stations in 190 cities and completed over 7.6 million swaps in China. So far, we have 711 supercharging stations and 3,786 destination chargers in China.
2022年，蔚来将新增部署30条 Power Up Plan 目的地加电路线。中国市场将累计建成超过1300座换电站、6000根超充桩、1万根目的地充电桩。我们将在充换电网络持续布局，进一步提升用户的家电体验。
In 2022, we will add 30 new destination charging routes to the Power Up plan. With that, NIO will accumulatively operate over 1,300 battery swap stations, 6,000 power chargers, and 10,000 destination chargers in China. We will further expand our power network to provide a better charging and swapping experience to users.
在全球市场方面，我们看到 ES8 赢得了挪威用户的喜爱。今年以来，月交付量稳居挪威6座和7座乘用车市场的前2位。挪威市场成功的交付和高质量的用户服务，为我们提供全球服务积累的经验，坚定了我们后续进入更多市场的信心。
In the global market, ES8 has won the appreciation of users in Norway. This year, our monthly deliveries have ranked top 2 among the 6-seater or 7-seater passenger cars. The successful delivery and high-quality user service in Norway also help us accumulate valuable experience in providing services in other countries and regions, and gain confidence in entering more new markets.
2022年，蔚来的产品与全体系服务将在德国、荷兰、瑞典、丹麦正式落地。目前，团队组建和相关市场进入的准备工作进展顺利。
In 2022, NIO will bring its products and comprehensive services to Germany, the Netherlands, Sweden, and Denmark. The team building and market entry preparation are moving forward smoothly.
我们面向大众市场的新品牌的业务工作进展顺利，核心团队搭建完成，明确了战略方向和发展计划，首批产品已经进入到关键的研发阶段。
The mass market brand has been progressing according to plan. We have established the core team, specified the strategic direction and the brand positioning, and reached a critical research and development stage of the first batch of products.
未来的发展离不开用户一如既往的支持。2021年共有3756位用户志愿者投入到车展、NIO Day 等活动中，更有超过12000名未来用户参与了超过260场公益活动，积极为社会贡献力量。
The development of NIO won't be possible without the continued support of our users. In 2021, 3,756 user volunteers contributed their time and efforts in events like auto shows and NIO Day. More than 12,000 users participated in over 260 charity events, to make active contributions to society.
在 NIO Day 2021上，我们发布了车主福利合伙人支持计划，方便车友们互惠互利，让未来的社区能够产生更加有意义的连接。
At NIO Day 2021, we announced the user partner program with which new users can share benefits with each other and build an even deeper connection among users in the community.
同时 ,2021 年蔚来发起了 Clean Park 生态共建计划，目前我们已经在6个国家公园和自然保护区落地项目，助力生态共建，支持自然使用智能电动汽车，建设清洁能源基础设施，构建清洁低碳的能源自循环体系，守护生态系统的原真和完整性。
In addition, NIO launched the Clean Parks, an ecosystem co-construction initiative. So far, we have rolled out the initiative in 6 national parks and natural reserves in China. We aim to contribute to ecosystem building, support the adoption of smart electric vehicles and clean energy infrastructure in the natural reserves, and establish a clean and low-carbon energy circulation to protect the authenticity and integrity of ecosystems.
2021年是蔚来开始重新积蓄能量的一年，我们为下一阶段的发展进行了各方面的准备。2022年将是蔚来全面加速的一年，我们将交付3款全新车型，继续围绕长期竞争力进行研发和基础设施投入，建设更多产能，满足快速增长的用户需求，服务更多国家和地区的用户。我们将坚持从用户利益出发的初心，持续进步，为用户带来超越期待的产品与服务。
2021 was a year for NIO to develop fundamental powers and make comprehensive preparations for the next stage of development. 2022 is a year for NIO to press ahead at full speed. We will deliver 3 new products, continue to invest in R&D and infrastructure to improve our long-term competitiveness, expand our production capacity to meet the faster-growing user demand, and serve users in more countries and regions. We will always stay true to our original aspiration of putting users' interests first, make continuous improvement, and deliver products and services beyond user expectations.
感谢大家的支持。现在 Steven 将为大家介绍2021年第4季度的财务业绩，有请 Steven。
As always, thank you for your support. With that, I will now turn the call over to Steven to provide the financial details for the quarter. Steven, please go ahead.
Thank you, William. I will now go over our key financial results for the fourth quarter and full year of 2021. And to be mindful of the length of this call, I encourage listeners to refer to our earnings press release, which is posted online for additional details. Our total revenue in the fourth quarter were 9.9 billion RMB, or $1.6 billion, representing an increase of 49.1% year-over-year, an increase of 1% quarter-over-quarter. Our total revenues are made of 2 parts: vehicle sales and other sales. Vehicle sales in the fourth quarter were 9.2 billion RMB, or $1.4 billion, accounting for 93% of total revenues in this quarter. It represented an increase of 49.3% year-over-year, an increase of 6.7% quarter-over-quarter. The increase in vehicle sales year-over-year was mainly attributed to higher deliveries. The increase in vehicle sales quarter-over-quarter was mainly attributed to a higher average selling price, decrease in subsidization in user vehicle financing arrangements, and higher deliveries. Other sales in the fourth quarter were 0.7 billion RMB, or $107.5 million, representing an increase of 46.8% year-over-year and a decrease of 41.3% quarter-over-quarter. The increase in other sales year-over-year was mainly attributed to the increased revenues derived from the sales of service and energy packages and accessories in line with the incremental vehicle sales, as well as the increased revenues from used car sales and auto financing services in the fourth quarter of 2021, which was partially offset by the sales of automotive regulatory credits in the fourth quarter of 2020. The decrease in other sales quarter-over-quarter was mainly attributed to the sales of automotive regulatory credits in the third quarter. Cost of sales in the fourth quarter was 8.2 billion RMB, or $842.8 million, representing an increase of 49.1% year-over-year, an increase of 5.0% quarter-over-quarter. The increase in cost of sales year-over-year was mainly driven by the increase of delivery volume in the fourth quarter of 2021. Gross profit in the fourth quarter was 1.70 billion RMB, or $266.7 million, representing an increase of 48.8% year-over-year and a decrease of 14.7% quarter-over-quarter. The increase in gross profit year-over-year was mainly contributed by increased vehicle sales and increased vehicle margin. The decrease of gross profit quarter-over-quarter was mainly resulted from the sales of automotive regulatory credits in the third quarter of 2021, which contributed a higher profit. Gross margin in the fourth quarter of 2021 was 17.2%, compared with 17.2% in the fourth quarter of 2020 and 20.3% in the third quarter of 2021. The decrease of gross margin quarter-over-quarter was mainly resulted from the sales of automotive regulatory credits in the third quarter of 2021, which contributed a higher gross margin. More specifically, vehicle margin in the fourth quarter was 30.9%, compared with 17.2% in the fourth quarter of 2020 and 18.0% in the third quarter of 2021. The increase of vehicle margin year-over-year was mainly driven by the higher average selling price with higher take rate of 100 kWh battery. The increase of vehicle margin quarter-over-quarter was mainly attributed to decrease in subsidization in user vehicle financing arrangements. R&D expenses in the fourth quarter were 1.83 billion RMB, or $286.9 million, representing an increase of 120.5% year-over-year, an increase of 53.3% quarter-over-quarter. The increase of R&D expenses quarter-over-quarter and year-over-year was mainly attributed to the increased personnel costs in research and development functions, as well as the incremental design and development costs for new products and technologies. SG&A expenses in the fourth quarter were 2.36 billion RMB, or $370.1 million, representing an increase of 95.4% year-over-year and an increase of 29.2% quarter-over-quarter. The increase in SG&A expenses year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter was primarily due to the increase in personnel costs in sales and service functions and costs related to the sales and service network expansion, as well as incremental marketing and promotional expenses, including for the host of NIO Day in December 2021. Loss from operations in the fourth quarter was 2.45 billion RMB, or $383.7 million, representing an increase of 162.5% year-over-year, an increase of 146.5% quarter-over-quarter. Share-based compensation expenses in the fourth quarter were 396.7 million RMB, or $62.3 million, representing an increase of 559% year-over-year, an increase of 49.4% quarter-over-quarter. The increase in share-based compensation expenses year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter was primarily attributed to additional options and restricted shares granted. Net loss in the fourth quarter was 2.14 billion RMB, or $336.4 million, representing an increase of 54.4% year-over-year, an increase of 156.6% quarter-over-quarter. Net loss attributable to NIO's ordinary shareholders in the fourth quarter was 1.49 billion RMB, or $228.7 million, representing a decrease of 48.4% year-over-year, an increase of 25.6% quarter-over-quarter. Basic and diluted net loss per ADS in the fourth quarter were both 1.36 RMB, or 21 cents per ADS. Excluding share-based compensation expenses and accretion on redeemable non-controlling interests to redemption value, non-GAAP adjusted basic and diluted net loss per ADS were both 1.07 RMB, or 16 cents per ADS. Our balance of cash and cash equivalents, restricted cash and short-term investment was 55.4 billion RMB, or $8.7 billion as of December 31st, 2021. Additionally, we achieved positive cash flow from operating activities for the full year 2021. And now for our business outlook. As William mentioned, for the first quarter of 2022, the company expects deliveries to be between 25,000 to 26,000 vehicles, representing an increase of approximately 24.6% to 29.6% from the same quarter of 2021. The company also expects the total revenues of the first quarter of 2022 to be between 9.63 and 9.99 billion RMB, or between 1.51 and 1.57 billion $. This would represent an increase of approximately 20.6% to 25.1% from the same quarter of 2021. This business outlook reflects the company's current and preliminary view on the business situation and market conditions, which is subject to change. Now, this concludes our prepared remarks. I will now turn the call over to the operator to facilitate our Q&A session.
Thank you. Once again, as a reminder, if you'd like to ask question, please press star one and wait for your name to be announced. For the benefit of all participants on today's call, please limit yourself to 2 questions. And if you have additional questions, you may re-enter the queue. First question comes from the line of Tim Hsiao of Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, William, Stephen, and Stanley. Congratulations on the solid result, and thanks for taking my questions. Basically, I have 2 questions. The first question is about the cost and margin, because we know that NIO is better positioned to cope with the battery cost inflation even without price hike. But may I know if the rising mix of the high margin 100 kWh, 75 kWh hybrid battery pack or other initiatives could sufficiently offset the margin pressure this year? And separately, if any, or only if, we need to raise the prices one day. Could NIO increase the price to the consumers who bought the batteries and also the battery asset management companies simultaneously? Or it would take longer to renegotiate the terms and contract with the battery asset management company, as it's more like a to-be business. So that's the first question. And second question is about the model. Currently, I think ES6 and ES8 have comprehensively covered the SUV market with pricing range from 350 to 600,000. Since we will soon launch ES7, as William just mentioned, how could we effectively differentiate ES7 from incumbent SUV models without volume dilution? And are we going to adjust the pricing strategy or reposition current SUV models along with the launch of ES7? So those are the two questions from my side. Thank you.
好的，谢谢 Tim。第一个问题就是确实去年4季度的话呢，因为我们这个开始使用这个75度的3元铁锂的这个电池，那么3元铁锂的电池的话呢，就是比原来我们用的那个70度的那个3元的电池的话呢，成本确实是要低一些，所以这个对我们4季度的毛利改善还是非常有帮助的。当然大家也知道，这个特别是从去年 Q3、Q4 开始到今年的话呢，这个电池的上游的原材料的成本确实增长的非常的多啊。那我们当然这个整个产业链都要一起来分担这个上涨的这个压力。当然从这个目前来讲的话呢，我们还没有提价啊，目前我们还没有。当然我们今年会有一些这个年度的这样的一些包括产品提升的一些计划，我们会根据这个时间会看一看，这个可能是我们到那个时候看，根据这个市场的这个价格，原材料的价格，去看看我们的一个价格的政策价格的策略。当前我们的产品目前当下我们还没有这个涨价的这个想法。当然这个大家也知道，我们的销量呢提升了以后，我们很多这个分摊的这个成本呢也肯定是可以下降了不少。本来这个确实是可以对我们的毛利提升是一个比较大的正面的影响，但是原材料的价格也不光是电池啊，也包括这个大宗商品啊，这个包括铝啊、铜啊，所有这些涨价的话，对我们的毛利的增长肯定是有一些负面的作用的。这是第一个问题。
Thank you, Tim. Regarding the first question, actually, starting from the fourth quarter of last year, we started to deliver the 75 kilowatt-hour LFP and NCM hybrid battery pack to the users, which has contributed to the cost optimization and benefited over vehicle gross margin growth in the fourth quarter. But I believe everyone knows that starting from the third quarter and the fourth quarter of last year, we have been seeing some raw material cost increase in the industry, and there has been lots of cost increase in the upstream of the whole industry chain, which means that we will need to share the pressure across the whole industry gradually. At this moment, we do not have any plan to increase our pricing yet, but because during the year we're going to upgrade our product competitiveness and capabilities. So at that time, probably based on the cost of the raw materials in the industry, we will reevaluate our pricing strategy as well. But at this moment, we're not going to increase our price for the products. On another point, because of the sales growth, we believe this has also contributed to the amortization of the cost and benefited of a vehicle gross margin increase. But regarding the raw material cost increase, it's not just about the battery, but also other commodities like the copper and aluminum. Those raw material cost increase have also affected our vehicle gross margin as well.
那我补充一下，我们全年的整车毛利的目标，我们还是设定在 结合有这样的一些成本的上涨，我们全年的毛利目标我们还是希望在18到20之间这是我们目前的考虑到这个材料成本上涨以后的一个毛利的目标。
In light of the cost increase of those raw materials I've just mentioned and other BOM cost, over a full year vehicle gross margin for 2022 will still target to reach around 18 to 20%.
第二个问题ES7， 那么 ES7 的话呢是基于我们第二代技术平台 NT2 的一款这个我们叫大五座的这样一个 SUV。那么中大型的大五座 SUV 的市场呢，我们看到近期这个市场的这个细分市场的需求增长还是非常快的包括比如说 BMW 的 X5 这个他们在近期也会在国内要量产。那么应该讲这个ES7 它是我们最领先的一个3电3制技术那强调了这个高性能和这个豪华感。那我们认为它是能够吸引到这个一些对这种产品的性能和品质要求更高的这样的一些用户。我们不认为它对现在的866的 SUV 的销售会有什么影响，我认为它应该是会是一个增量。
The second question is about the ES7. This is going to be the first SUV product based on the NT2 and is positioned as a mid-large 5-seater SUV. In this specific segment, we have witnessed some user demand increase recently. For example, the BMW X5, we believe it's going to start the local production very soon. For the ES7, it's going to have industry-leading battery electric powertrain and also the smart technologies as well, and we believe it's going to showcase the high performance capabilities of the product and also satisfy users' demand in terms of the premiumness and the luxury feeling. And we also believe this is going to attract the users who will have a very high requirements regarding the product quality and the premiumness. So all in all, we believe ES7 is going to contribute and going to be complementary to our current ES8, ES6 and EC6 instead of affecting the sales of the current products.
那我们目前是计划2季度补充一下，我们目前是计划2季度发布这个 ES7， 当然定价到时候大家就会知道那么定价40万以上的这个中大型5座 SUV 市场，目前的这个容量是20多万辆而且还在不断的增长，所以我们对这个细分市场还是非常有信心的。
We are going to launch the ES7 in the second quarter of this year and we'll share the pricing information as well at that time. At this moment, we can see that regarding the market segment of the mid-large SUV priced above 400,000 RMB, it actually has a addressable market size of over 200,000 units. And this market size is also growing. That's why we're very confident with the performance of the ES7 update launch.
Thank you.
谢谢 William.
Thank you for the questions. Next question comes from the line of Bin Wang of Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
各位领导好我有2个问题第一个就是最近有个媒体报道呢，第一定是说我们的 ET7 呢拿到了15000个订单，每个月的销量可以达到5000台，能不能请管理层那个讲下这个预期就是 ET7 到底能卖多少台？同样的 ES7 大概我们每个月的销量目标会达到什么程度？您刚刚提到这个 X5 嘛，之前我们 ET7 谈的是那个5系，那想问问看是不是能不能用同样的类比，我们比如说一个月 4000、5000是不是一个合理的解释？这是第一个问题啊。第二个问题呢，我想问问看，我们的这个服务啊，好像在第四季度大幅的亏损了30%几的负毛利，想问问看这个毛利的一个趋势是怎么样的？是不是在22年、23年还会是这样一个负毛利？以及我们刚刚讲的18到20的一个毛利指引是包括了这个服务的负毛利，还是说只是说这个汽车的毛利指引？好，我英语翻译一下。Actually, I have a question about the ET7 sales because recently there was a media called First One EV. They said that the ET7 received very good order flow, about 15,000 order backlog, which indicate monthly volume could be around 5K. So what's your comment about this? And second thing is about the margin, because within the number 4 quarter last year, the service actually have very big negative gross margin, more than 30%. And what's the reason behind that, and what's the outlook of this service margin going forward? Meanwhile, you just provide an 18 to 20% margin guidance. This is just the vehicle gross margin or actually including the service margin already? Thank you. 谢谢。
谢谢王斌啊，我回答第一个问题，Stanley回答第二个问题。ETG 大家也知道，我们这个很早就不公布这个订单的量了，但是我能说的是，我们的这个订单的量肯定比现在媒体这个你刚才说的媒体传闻的肯定是要多的啊。当然，如果我们去看 ET7， 它直接和油车的里边的这个同样价位的话，比如说宝马5啊，Mercedes 的 E-Class、奥迪的 A6， 那事实上来讲，他们从价位的角度来讲的话呢，是直接竞争的啊。那么目标用户群体也是非常的像，特别是 BMW 的5G。那么如果我们去看这3款车的话，那么他们基本上在中国市场每个月都是12000到15000天量。当然我们知道电动车的这个还需要一个过程让用户去接受。我们如果比照我们在 SUV 在上海市场的份额23%的份额的话，我们还是能看到有很好的一个想象的空间的大型高端轿车的市场。那么我们不管是从产品还是从各方面的竞争力都是非常的强的，所以我们很难去说一个月是多少，但是从目前来看的话，我们对于我们在这个市场里面去获得一个显著的份额还是非常有信心的。从目前用户的反馈的角度来看。好，义父你翻译一下。
Regarding the first question of the ET7, of course we cannot disclose the specific order number at this moment. But what I can say is that it's actually much more than the media report. And for the ET7 market segment, we can see some other benchmarks. For example, the BMW 5 Series, Audi A6, and Mercedes C-Class. ET7 has the similar pricing and the target group with those products as well, especially regarding the BMW 5 Series. So for BMW 5 Series, we can see that the monthly delivery number is around 12,000 to 15,000. Of course, for the EV product, it will need some time for the users to adopt and accept. But if we look at the examples of the Shanghai market, right now in the premium SUV segment in Shanghai, our market share is around 23%. So if we also mirror this to the sedan market, we believe that there is a lot of room for growth and also potential for our ET7. So at this moment, we cannot see how much we're going to deliver every month, but according to the user feedback we receive right now, we're very confident with the ET7's performance in the future.
Okay, this is Danny. Okay,
William, 还有一个 ES7 的问题。
那 Stanley 回答第二个问题吧。
William 第一个问题里面也提到了说 ES7 我们有没有对市场的一个估计
？ES 对市场估计怎么说呢？这个现在我们前面其实也讲了一下 ES7 的这个它定位在大5座的这么一个高端 SUV 的市场。 当然它和这个现在主要的对标的话呢，还是 BMW 的这个 X5。那如果我们去看的话呢， X5 的话呢，这个在市场上它国产了以后，那大家对它的期许还是比较高的。那么这个市场现在差不多前面讲的是20万辆啊，那么我觉得我们这个还是有非常大的信心能够去和像 X5 去做这样的竞争的啊，所以从销量参考的角度来讲，大家可以看一看这个领域像 X5 它的一些量啊。
Regarding the ES7, previously I have also mentioned that the ES7 is positioned in the mid-large premium SUV segment, and if we talk about the specific benchmark, we can refer to BMW X5. After the local production of the BMW X5, we can see that the market actually has very high expectations for BMW X5's performance. The current market size of this segment is over 200,000 units. So if we look at the comparables, we can use the BMW X5 as a reference, and based on this, we're very confident with our ES7 because we believe it can actually outcompete the BMW X5.
Okay, for the second question, for service loss. We accelerated the construction of power substation in 2021, and more power substations started to provide service to end users, which lead to the cost increase of other business compared with Q3. And in 2022, we will continue to deploy the batteries charging and swapping facilities. The anticipated depreciation and operating expenses will keep rising. But we believe the upfront deployment of battery swap stations can contribute to our branding, user experience, and also sales, and with the long-term value to the company. So bearing a short-term loss of power substation constitutes a strategic decision of the company. And in the long run, the cumulative vehicle deliveries going up and the improvement of service efficiency, we expect that the negative margins resulting from power, maintenance and repair service and all the other services will gradually improve. And other revenues and margins contributed by innovative business models like BaaS, New Life, and also AD as a service will keep growing. Okay, and the gross profit margin target 18 to 20% for 2022 is for vehicle, not the overall gross margin. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Next questions comes from the line of Ming-Shun Lee of Bank of America. Please go ahead.
谢谢管理层哦。那我这边就两个简单的问题。第一个问题还是关于这个产能，因为刚才威廉也有提到两个工厂 JPH 的这个水平，但是想了解一下，因为我们今年的新车都有这个光达，然后还有另外就是也想了解一下我们这个电池产能，尤其是 hybrid 这个产能现在的一个expansion 的 progress。然后最后一个部分是还有芯片，因为昨天也看到意法半导体有宣布对芯片有做一些涨价，然后不晓得管理层对这边对这个芯片的供应，然后包括像 NVIDIA 这个 Orin 芯片的供应，今年的这个紧张程度，那会不会也多少制约了我们这个可以交付这个的水平哦？那这个就是我的唯一的问题。So my question is regarding the capacity in LiDAR, hybrid battery. And also the chip, especially STM yesterday just also announced the chip shortage will cause the price hike. So I also want to know whether the NVIDIA Orin chip will constrain your vehicle delivery this year. 谢谢管理层。
好的，谢谢Min。产能的问题，我们前面也讲到了，我们第一个工厂就是在年中的时候啊。那个能够达到60 JPH， 然后第二个工厂我们是按照60 JPH 去规划的，当然它有一个爬升的过程。那也就是说，如果60 JPH 的话呢，如果是双班的话，这个4000个小时，那么是24万辆啊，一个月2万辆。如果是这个加班多一些的话，5000个小时的话呢，那么当然是30万辆。那么这个确实是从产能的角度来讲，整车的产能的角度来讲，在今年的下半年往后一些，今年的差不多 Q4 吧，那我们应该就会有根本性的一个好转啊，对给下一阶段的这个生产的话呢，肯定是真有一个很好的保障。那么电池的话呢，确实这个产能的这种瓶颈也是有的啊。那我们从去年开始和 CATL 就根据我们的要求增加这个产线。那么今年目前从电池的角度来讲的话呢，我觉得应该是能够 match 我们的这个整个的这个需求的啊，电池应该还好啊。今年当然这个价格上涨是另外一回事，但是需求应该还是能满足的。芯片是比较非常大的挑战的，因为我们每辆车我们都要用这个1000多颗芯片啊，有其中的10%它会不时面临这种供应紧张的问题。那么这个确实很大程度上是会有一些影响的。当然这个芯片的价格的上涨，我们事实上去年因为我们在现货市场要买一些芯片，我们去年就已经这个有一些毛利的损失，是因为芯片的价格的上涨。那么今年的话呢，我们在毛利的这个考虑方面，已经把芯片的这个价格的上涨已经考虑进去了。所以芯片的价格的问题还 OK 啊，主要的问题还是这个供应的这个不确定性的问题。高端的芯片，比如说 Orin 啊，英伟达的 Orin 的芯片，因为我们是全球第一个量产的，那包括高通的这个座舱的8155，这些芯片的话呢，我们因为和这些合作伙伴都是直接的长期的战略的合作，我们总体上还好。现在主要的问题还是一些基础芯片啊，比如说 TI 啊，或者英飞凌啊，或者有一些这些很平时很便宜的芯片，现在这些芯片因为它缺一些的话，这个我们也没法去生产这个车，所以这些芯片呢，我们当然会用一些替代料的方式去做啊，包括现货市场我们也会去买一些。毫无疑问，这个肯定会把局面搞得复杂一点。所以今年总体上来讲，到4季度到下半年吧，下半年往后一些，产能应该就整车的产能和电池的产能是 OK 的。但主要是供应链别的波动性，特别是一些基础芯片的这样的一些波动性，对我们的影响比较大啊。这是目前的一个 overall 的一个情况。
So regarding the production capacity, previously I have also mentioned that by the middle of this year, our first factory, that is the JAC new manufacturing center, is going to reach a production cadence across the different workshops. That is around 60 drops per hour, and the designed production capacity of the factory 2 is also going to be around 60 drops per hour. But of course, for the factory 2, because this is a new factory, then we will need some time to ramp up the production gradually. So if we think about the 60 drops per hour, it means that if we work with 4,000 hours every year, then the annual production capacity is going to be 240,000 units, and for every month is around 20,000 units. If we work overtime a little bit to 5,000 hours per year, then it means that the annual production capacity is going to reach around 300,000 units. So this is about the vehicle production capacity. We believe in the fourth quarter of this year, we will see some fundamental improvements regarding the vehicle production capacity, which is going to support our next step of production. For the battery production capacity bottleneck, yes, previously we have also mentioned about this, and starting from last year, we have been working together with our partners ATL to add additional production lines for the battery cells, and we believe according to the current plan in 2022, the battery production capacity should be able to meet our demand. Of course, the cost increase of the battery is another matter. Actually, I believe that the chip shortage is a bigger challenge for us because in our vehicle we have over 1,000 chips, and among those 1,000 chips, we have probably around 10% of the chips that may face the supply shortages or challenges from time to time. So for us, starting from 2021, we started to see some chip cost increase, and this has affected our vehicle gross margin in 2021. Based on this experience in 2021, we have already taken into consideration of the chip cost increase in terms of setting of a target for the vehicle gross margin. We believe the main challenge regarding the chip is more about the supply. But regarding those high-end chips like the NVIDIA Orin chips and the Qualcomm 8155, we have a long-term and direct strategic cooperations with NVIDIA and Qualcomm. So we believe we should be able to have sufficient supplies for our production. But for those common chips or the cheaper chips, like from TI and Infineon, we may face some challenges from time to time, and this is going to affect our production. Of course, we have some other ways to mitigate those challenges. For example, we can find some other chips to replace those chips, or we can probably scan the market to build up our strategic inventory to avoid those risks. We believe overall speaking, in the second half of this year or around the fourth quarter of this year, we should be able to see some fundamental improvement in terms of our vehicle production capacity and the battery production capacity. But we may still face some challenges in terms of the supply chain volatilities, especially the semiconductors.
Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Our next question comes from the line of Jeff Chung of Citi. Please go ahead.
李总好，我是花旗的 Jeff 这有两个问题，第一就是我们会不会考虑我们的这个零售产品MSRP 这边加价去抵消一些电池或者铝价成本的上升，如果是的话怎么加，如果不是的话为什么不加这是第一个问题。第二个问题呢是现有的这个866产品您认为4、5、6月份可以维持大概1万台一个月吗？还有就是说这个 ET7 的这个爬坡就是说3月底开始交付，这个爬坡4、5、6月份您感觉会是一个怎么样的一个节奏然后最后也想附带一个问题，就是碳酸锂中国的这个 spot price， 您认为是不是应该现在就到顶了？因为好像中国政府已经开始干预了，会释放更多的这个供应这有一些整车厂跟我们说的，就想听听您的这个意见I've got 3 questions. So number one is, should we consider any MSRP hike in the near term to offset potential battery and aluminum cost hike? If yes, how? And if no, why not? The second question is about the existing A66 products sales volume visibility over the next few months. Any confidence we can maintain 10,000 units a month, as well as could you give us more color on the ET7 ramp-up pace in the second quarter? Last but not least is the lithium spot price in China. Do you think it has already peaked due to the recent government intervention? Thank you.
好的，谢谢 Jeff。第一个问题就是，当然我们现在的ES8、ES6、EC6的这个座舱的这些芯片的话呢，确实还是这个18年那个我们那一代 NT1 的这样的一些这个芯片啊。那到今天来讲，确实这个进行一些这个复杂的软件，它的效率会确实有一些挑战。所以我们今年呢是有计划对我们现在的这个866进行一些智能硬件的这样的一些升级啊，同时呢也会给现有的用户提供这种后装升级服务啊。那么这个已经在我们的计划中。那么我们会做这个，会在合适的时候做这个交换工作。那么所以考虑到这样的一些情况的话呢，我们现有的产品呢，我们认为这个没有必要去进行一个价格的调整啊。当然我们会结合我们这个智能硬件的升级，也就是我们一个现有的866产品的一个年型款啊，那我们会做一个合适的价格的调整。那我们还有一些时间去看这个材料还有这种电池的成本的变化，我们会做一个合适的定价。所以这是我们的一个总体的一个思考啊。那么这是第一个问题啊。当然你还说到这个是不是可以维持1个月这个1万的这样的一个需求啊。从我们来讲，我们现在这个3月份的订单的情况还是达到我们的预期的。我们认为需求端没什么问题，即使是我们现有的866的产品和同样价位的别的油车相比或者电车相比，我们仍然是有非常大的这个竞争优势的。所以对需求来讲的话，我们认为是能够保持在一个合理的这样的一个水平的，这个是没有问题的。第一个问题，Eve你先翻译一下。
For the current ES8, ES6, and EC6, of course, if we look at the digital cockpit chipset, this is actually based on the new technology platform 1.0, which was developed in 2018. So for this chip, the efficiency may be impaired if we run some complicated software. So that's why starting from this year or within this year, we're going to upgrade to the smart hardware of our existing products. And we are also going to provide the after-sales upgrade services for the users regarding the smart hardware upgrades. We're going to launch this program and in a appropriate time. For the existing ES8, ES6, and EC6, we believe we do not need to adjust the pricing at this moment. But of course, based on the smart hardware upgrade of the existing products, and also we are going to launch some model year products, then at that time, we believe probably we can reevaluate our pricing strategy based on the cost increase in the supply chain. You have also asked about the performance of our current product, whether it should be able to still maintain the 10,000 units per month. According to our order momentum in March, we believe that this can meet our expectation, and we believe that the user demand is not a problem for us. Because if we compare our current ES8, ES6, and EC6 with other EV products and ICE products in the market, we believe we still have a lot of competitive advantages. So the overall demand momentum stays quite strong.
第二个问题的话呢，就是 ET7 的这个爬坡的速度。ET7 因为是在我们第一个工厂产，它和 ES8、ES6、EC6 都是共线生产的，它也引进了一些新的工艺。那我们去年其实就不断的进行这个产线的这个改造，能够让它能够支持 ET7 的这个量产。当然我们在第一个工厂的前面，其实我们也说了，我们会生产这个ES7啊。那么这个 ES7 的话呢，我们目前的计划是3季度交付，所以大家应该知道，这个在我们的第一工厂现在是一个稍微有一点复杂的局面，有3辆现有的车型啊，我们要保证它的产能， 然后我们还有 ET7 的新车的生产，我们还有为 ES7 的这个量产做准备，所以是要复杂一些啊。那么所以从这个角度来讲 ，ET7 的爬产它的过程会比一般的像我们 ET5 那样的肯定将来的 ET5 那样肯定要慢一点啊。那我们希望的话能够这个 ET7 差不多在差不多3季度吧，3季度的话能够达到我们认为的一个常规产能，所以它前期的爬坡会稍微慢一点，主要是这个生产的这个工厂的这个管理，这个爬坡的这个阶段情况复杂一些。
For the ET7 production ramp up, because the ET7 is going to be manufactured in the first factory we called F1, and it's going to share the production line with the current products ES8, ES6, and EC6. At the same time, we will also introduce some new manufacturing technologies and the techniques in the production of the ET7. So that's why starting from last year, we started to adjust the production lines in the F1 to support the new product production. In the meantime, I have also mentioned about the ES7, which is going to start the delivery in the third quarter of this year. This product is also going to be manufactured in the F1. So the situation in F1 is quite complicated, as you can see, because we need to make sure we have sufficient production capacities to support the current ES8, ES6, and EC6. But at the same time, we also need to produce the ET7 and also prepare for the production of the ES7. So that's why we believe the ramp-up progress of the ET7 is probably going to be a little bit slower compared with that of the ET5, since ET5 is going to be manufactured in a separate new plant called F2. So we believe that probably around the third quarter of this year, we should be able to reach a normal production cadence for the ET7.
第三个问题就是我们的这个碳酸锂的就对碳酸锂这个市场的看法。确实这个今年以来这个碳酸锂的涨价是非常的夸张的啊。我们总体上认为，我们对上游的材料，对上游的从矿产开始到各个环节，我们也进行了非常细致的这个 research。我们总体上认为这个碳酸锂的这个涨价还是比较投机性的这种因素更多一点啊。其实从一个需求和供应的角度来讲的话呢，其实没有那么大的这个差距。我们也看到了中国的一些这个主管部门啊，比如说工信部也在协调这样的一些价格的机制。那我们认为我们也是呼吁上游的这样的一些从这个锂矿的厂商从这个包括一些这个碳酸锂的这样的一些厂商，那么能够从整个行业的这个长期利益出发啊，那么还是希望他们能够这个不要做投机性的这种涨价，去人为制造这个价格的这个上涨，这对整个行业肯定不是一件好事所以整体上来讲，我们不认为是一个真正的产能和供应的问题啊，我们认为这里面投机性的因素是更大一些。
Regarding the lithium carbonate cost increase, we have done very in-depth research regarding the overall industry chain, especially the upstream. We believe the cost increase or the price hikes is mainly due to the opportunistic price hikes, and there's no specific big gaps in terms of the demand and the supply of the lithium carbonate materials. Of course, right now we can see some Chinese authorities like MIIT have already started to set up some mechanisms to manage the situation. At the same time, we also like to urge the companies in the upstream of the industry chain that they should think more from the long-term benefit of the overall development of the whole industry instead of manipulate or take the opportunity of the cost increase to increase their price.
好，谢谢 Jeff。
Thank you for the questions. Next question comes from the line of Nick Lai of JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for taking my question. Two simple questions. First on margin and the second on export business. William and maybe talk about the GP margin already. Let me switch focus to the OP margin. Last year we understand the R&D expense and SG&A increased a lot. In part largely due to the top line increase. As we move into 2022, how should we think about SG&A and R&D expense in terms of either dollar term or percentage to revenue? Is it fair to say R&D percentage to revenue should increase, should drop meaningfully, while SG&A should move more or less in tandem with the top line sales? And the second question is regarding export. I understand it's probably not a big portion of our total sales, but considering the latest dynamic in Europe and rising stronger renminbi against either dollar or euro, any update on export front? Thanks.
好的，谢谢 Nick。第一个问题就是operation 的这个 margin 的问题。那我们给大家一个大的一个概念，就是说我们总体上来讲，去年我们基本上执行的这个公司财务的这个战略的话呢，是我们的毛利能 cover 我们的销售费用和这个管理费用那么这是我们去年的一个总体的一个策略。那我们当然执行的还是不错，也就是说我们亏损的主要是我们长期的研发的投入。那么我们评估一下将来的几年，那我们认为今年仍然是非常重要的一个在研发方面进行投入的一年，所以我们今年仍然会是这样的一个大的策略，就是我们会在我们的毛利能够 cover 我们的 SG&A 当然这里面考虑到我们的欧洲的这样的一些业务事实上跟去年比的话呢，是因为我们欧洲是要有先期的投入了嘛，所以我们整体上来讲跟去年比，事实上来讲我们的这个财务的效率是更高的但是我们今年的研发投入我们会进一步加大那我们今年全年的话呢，我们的研发投入跟去年增长的话会超过1倍。那么这里面因为有很多是这种底层的技术的研发，长期的技术的研发也包括明年的要上市的新车型的研发，也包括要进入全球市场的这样的一些车型的这样的一些适配所以研发的投入会增加的会比较多。那么我们到今年年底吧，我们预计研发人员会到9000人的这样的一个规模跟现在比的话还要增加比较大的一个比例。研发的投入毫无疑问我们是不会妥协的。那么这是今年的一个 overall 的情况。如果是去看的话呢，这个我们这个看一个大的一个方向的话呢，我们现在来看的话，我们是把明年的 Q4明年的就23年的 Q4 作为我们的一个季度的 break even 的一个目标那我们希望的话呢，在24年的话呢，全年能够实现盈利这是我们总体的一个节奏。好，第一个问题先说一下。
Regarding the OP margin, last year in terms of the company's strategy, we would like to make sure that the gross profit can cover the SG&A cost, and we believe through the efficiency improvement and execution, we have followed through this strategy in 2021. In the coming years, we will continue to make decisive investments in terms of the R&D and the infrastructure. Of course, our strategy will stay the same. That is, we would like to make sure we can use the gross profit to cover the SG&A cost. If we look at the EU market, Of course, last year, because that was the first year for us to enter the global market, then it means that last year we need to make some advanced investment, and we believe that this year the efficiency is much higher than last year. But in terms of the R&D front, we are going to step up our R&D investment. This year we believe the R&D investment is going to be more than doubling than that of 2021, because we are going to invest in some long-term core technologies and some fundamental technologies, as well as new products for 2023, as well as some product adaptation for the global market. By the year end of 2022, our R&D headcount is going to reach around 9,000, and we believe that this is going to be a big increase compared with our current R&D team size. So this is the overall plan for the 2022. In terms of the overall strategic direction for the company, our target is that we can achieve break even for a single quarter in the fourth quarter of 2023, and we can achieve break even or reach profitability in 2024 for the full year.
第二个问题Steven 说一下吧。
Okay, so the second question is about our global business, right? Actually right now, every month we deliver about 100 ES8 in Norway. So that boosts our confidence a lot, improves our product competitiveness and also our business model. But however, since we will kick off our SUD in Europe in the second half of this year, so the contribution of the European market to sales volume won't be very significant in this year. But in now on, we will continue to develop and improve its product portfolio and service network, establish local user communities, and pursue a high user satisfaction. With that, we believe the market share and sales volume in Europe will come along naturally.
Thank you for the questions. I'll now take the next question. Please continue. Allow me to take the next questions from Fei Fang of Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
好，感谢管理层这个提问的机会。很快的问题，想请管理层谈一下这个基础设施的一个使用的情况，比如说换电站、超充站，在这个头部的城市和一些这个新建的城市，它的一个使用的情况。Let me just quickly translate for myself. Can management talk a little bit about the utilization metrics of your infrastructure, battery swap stations, supercharging stations, how often people use it, what's the unit economics, what's the difference between top cities versus lower tier cities? Thank you.
好的，我们也是前面也讲到，我们现在这个800多个换电站里就提供了700多万次的换电服务。那么现在的话呢，我们平均的话呢，差不太多这个每天的在3万次左右的这样的一个换电的量啊。当然这个有一些比较用户比较密集的区域的话呢，这个肯定会多一些，有的换电站能够在100多单啊。那当然有一些这个高速啊，或者有平时的高速这方面要少一点，一天大概在这个1-20单啊，那么差不多是这么一个水平吧。所以我们一直也说，我们的换电站事实上来讲的话呢，是提前大概1到2年去进行的这个布局啊。那么我们现在我们2代站一座换电站是差不多能服务1000个用户的这样一个活有量的，所以大家也能看出来，我们现在的这个换电站的这个服务的话呢，总体上来讲，除了少数的特别密集的用户的这样的一个区域啊，我们可能高峰时段会有一些还是会有点偶尔排队的情况，但总体上来讲的体验是比较好的。当然这是目前的一个状态吧。
Previously, I have also mentioned that accumulatively, we have completed over 7.6 million swaps, and it means that the current status for the swap station is that every day we can complete around 30,000 swaps. For some areas with more users, of course, we will be able to accommodate over 1,000 swaps for one power swap station in one day. But on highways, probably in one day, the power swap station is going to accommodate around 10 to 20 swaps per power swap station. Because we have deployed the power swap station network in advance, probably 1 or 2 years in advance. Because the design target of the power swap station network is that the ratio between the ratio between the power swap to the user should be around 1 to 1,000. But if we look at our current power network, especially for the power swap network, we have over deployed some power swap stations at this moment to make sure we have a much better experience for the users.
一本刚才讲的就是有一些多的站，一天是多少？100多单吧？我听着好像是1000多单，一天大不了100多单嘛，有多的站。
100多单。
OK， 对 ，OK， 对。好，谢谢方飞。Next question.
Certainly. Next question comes from the line of Edison Yu of Deutsche Bank. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking our questions. First one, can you give us some sense of the feature rollout cadence of NIO autonomous driving? What kind of features do you think the LiDAR will enable, and when can we expect those to arrive on the car? And then the second question is about the NIO ecosystem more broadly speaking. There are reports that you're working on a smartphone. How do we think about what's going on beyond the car? I know there's VR could be a big part. Any thoughts there would be appreciated. Thank you.
好的，谢谢。我们现在的话呢，ET7 交付的时候，我们这种先当然是开通这些辅助驾驶的功能。那么这个全站的技术，从感知到整个的全部的技术，都是我们自己的团队研发的。那么这是第一阶段。当然，我们希望在今年内能开通这个 NAD 的这个订阅服务。那么在今年的 Q4 吧，我们能在某些区域针对一部分用户开通这个订阅服务，这是目前我们的一个计划。第一个问题，一福翻译一下。
Thank you for going to start to provide the enhanced ADAS features first to the users. But on top of that, we have already built up the full stack autonomous driving capabilities from the perception to the controlling strategy. So we target to start provide the AD as a service probably in the fourth quarter of this year with our NAD technology.
第二个问题就是我们当然会积极的探索这个在这个车和移动终端进行互联的这样一个可能性。因为大家也清楚，从一个底层的技术的角度来讲的话，那么在智能化方面，那么包括这个供应链包括这个很多软件方面，其实和这个 smartphone 是有很多共通的部分。我们会积极的进行这方面一个研究那像我们在ET5发布的时候我们宣布了这个在车上去做原生的这个VR 和 AR 的这样的一个设计。那么我们认为这方面还是有很多可以去创新的地方。
Of course, we have always been actively explore the possible connections and synergies between the vehicle and smartphones and other mobile terminals. Because we believe that there are lots of synergies between these two products in terms of the fundamental technologies, the supply chain, and the software. At the launch of the ET5 at the NIO Day, we have also introduced some AR and the VR technologies as well, and we believe that there should be a lot of room for innovation, and we can also think about some innovative applications in the vehicles.
好，谢谢李生。
Thank you for the questions. Next questions will come from the line of Xue Deng from CICC. Please go ahead.
感谢提问机会早上管理层，我是邓雪，来自中金公司汽车组。大部分我的问题可能也都被前面的解决了，那我就大概问一下这个今年的这个 CapEx 的，就是固定资产开支的预算是怎么样的？能否详细的介绍一下投资的这个具体的金额和计划吧？So my next question is, what's the CapEx budget in 2022? And would you please introduce the detail about the main directions and the exact amount of money? Thank you.
好，谢谢邓Sandy，你回答一下吧。
Okay. Thank you, Deng Xue. Yes, as mentioned by William, our gross profit margin already can cover our SG&A expense, and this is also our target for 2022. So our cash on hand will mainly be used to for our R&D activities and also capital expenditures for our new product development and production facilities, sales service network and expansion, and also the charging and swapping infrastructures. And overall, also as mentioned in our previous explanations, we will increase our power swap stations to 1,300 stations by the end of 2022, and we will further open 100 new house and new space and 60 new service centers, 50 new service centers in 2022. So and we will further to construct our new park located in Hefei in 2022. So the total expenditure I think is over could be a big increase compared with 2021. Yeah, thank you.
好，谢谢。
Thank you for the questions. The next questions comes from the line of Paul Gong from UBS. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my question. I'm so glad I still have a chance to ask, even at this late moment. Let me just limit my question to one. I want to know more about the your thought about the mass market brand. Obviously, you have to compromise some of the features that today NIO has for more attractive pricing points or some cost competitiveness. So among all the features today NIO are offering, including say the exterior, the interior, the autonomous driving features, the acceleration, the driving range, the battery swap station, as well as the, let's say, the digital experience and also the surface. So what do you think is the things that you are willing to compromise on your mass market brands that would be reserved exclusively for the NIO brands, and you are not expecting from the mass market brands? Just this question. Thank you.
好，谢谢。谢谢Paul。对，确实这个我们看在怎么样去把自己整个的这个量做到一个更大的水平的话，那每个公司当然有不同的一个策略。当然我们看到我们的同行，比如说 Tesla， 那么它是通过 Model 3、Model Y 这样的和它早期的产品 Model S、Model X 有非常大的一个价差，通过这个方式去进入到这个 更大众的一些的市场。那么这个策略当然他们是从做法来讲也是非常的成功的，但是我们也看到了另外的一面，就是如果我们它的 Model X 那销量其实和以前比的话呢是下降的还是非常多的，即使排除这个产品切换的原因的话，那么也是下降了很多啊。这个是汽车行业基本的规律，就是一个 brand 它能够支撑的这个它的带宽，它是有一定的 range 的啊，就是你很难想象一个 brand 从10万人民币到100万人民币，产品都有，我觉得这个是不太可行，我认为这是一个 common sense 啊。但是如果要我们是在一个 mainstream 的一个 premium 的这么一个市场，那么我们的定价的话，我就看到我们主要是5到10万美金的这样一个那我们刚也仍然看到在3到5万美金的这个区间，那么仍然有非常大的一个市场机会非常大，同时不看的比例能够到一个合理的毛利率。那么像 Tesla 它的 Model 3、Model Y 要达这样一个毛利率，你从产品的定义从很基础的这样一些架构，那么包括材料的使用都需要去，包括生产制造都要去进行一个全面的这样的一个那个 fundamental 的一个效率导向思考。这的话你是做不到的，那么所以我们觉得很 natural 的去看的话，我们去3到5万美金的这个区间，去用一个新的 brand 去进入到 massive 的 mainstream 的 massive 的这个市场，我们认为这个是一个更好的一个策略，这样的话我们其实看到保时捷、奥迪、Volkswagen 或者 Lexus 和 Toyota 这样的一些也是非常成功的例子，证明了可以去兼顾这两个市场，所以这是我们的一个策略。但前提是通过完整的效率的导向去设计，毛利也能够有足够毛利的产品，这个当然是一个前提。我们不会去显著的牺牲毛利去进入这个 massive 的 market。please.
Thank you for your question. Of course, if we want to increase our overall volume and expand our user base, different companies will have very different strategies. For example, some peers like Tesla, they have adopted very different strategies compared with ours. For Tesla, they basically differentiated the Model 3 and Model Y from the Model X and the Model S with a very big price gap. So by doing this, they entered the mass market with the Model 3 and Model Y. So far, this has been quite successful, but at the same time, we have also seen some downside. For example, the sales of the Model X and the Model Y have decreased significantly despite the product cycle. So we believe there are some underlying fundamental rules of the auto industry. That is, there is a limited bandwidth of a specific brand. It's very difficult to imagine a single brand can actually support the pricing range from 100,000 RMB to 1 million RMB. It's not feasible, and I believe that this is against the common sense. So for NIO right now, we target the market segment that is around $50,000 to $100,000, and if we want to reach down to the mainstream market that is priced around $30,000 to $50,000. We believe that this is a much bigger market, and there's a reasonable market size for us to grow, and we can also achieve reasonable growth margin. We also need to take some lessons learned from the Model 3 and Model Y. We understand, of course, for this mass market, we will also need to rethink the fundamental architecture of our product, and also need to think about using different kind of materials and also different manufacturing technologies for our product. Because in terms of the mass market brand, of course, this need to be efficiency driven, and for this specific market segment priced from $30,000 to $50,000 US, we believe a more sensible approach for us is to use a new brand to enter this new market segment, and we believe that this is a better strategy for us. We can also see some successful examples in the market with this strategy. For example, Audi and Volkswagen and Lexus and Toyota. We believe this can also be a strategy for us to disrupt the market as well. But of course, for the mass market brand, the prerequisite for us is to make sure we can achieve high efficiency and also achieve reasonable vehicle gross margin.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, now I would like to turn the call back over to the company for closing remarks.
Thank you once again for joining us today. If you have further questions, please feel free to contact NIO's Investor Relations team through the contact information provided on our website. This concludes the conference call. You may now disconnect your line. Thank you.